Hi, everybody. I just had to double check that my correct microphone was on and it wasn't. So how are you, everyone? Welcome, welcome. I might well have the wrong title, in which case I will change it in a minute. If I do, I'll just wait for a few people to come on. It's a grey old day here today where I am, but it's actually quite warm and muggy, but it's a bit grey. Right, let's pull you a little bit closer. So I can see you better. How are you all? I can see you jumping on now. Give me a hello in the chat so I can see you. Now, I know that some people like to have the navy cushion on that side so you can see the comments better. So I will put the navy cushion on that side so you can see the comments better. There we go. And I'll sit up a little bit. Alrighty, where are you? I can't see you. Hang on a second. Talk to your audience, it says. Good morning, Morena. Sabrina, lovely to see you. Hi, everybody. Sunny and windy. We've got not a breath of wind today. It's just lovely, but it's a bit cool, but it's quite nice. I quite like it. It's cool this morning in Kimbolton. Claire, hi everyone. Hi Barbara, nice to see you. Okay, so I'm going to be a little bit quick today because I'm off to help my mum and my dad because they're moving house tomorrow. Remember how they're moving after 50 years of being in the same house? They're moving tomorrow. So I'm going to talk to you guys, do a little bit of things, and then I'm going to zoom off to clean and pack. That's what I'm doing. And then I will, and then we're going to help them all move tomorrow. Hey, everybody. Lovely to see you. So what I wanted to talk to you about was choosing sizes or patterns, and not any old patterns, one particular pattern. I am wearing, hi, Cindy, nice to see you. And Joe, lovely to see you. Oh, you've got Gales over that side of the city. Oh, maybe they'll come this way. I might all be heading north, Joe. I don't know. This is a new pattern, Paloma, that is in Wardrobe Toolbox. And those of you who are in Wardrobe Toolbox, you've all got it now, hopefully. So I'm not ruining your surprises because you got it on Monday. But every second month in Wardrobe Toolbox, we have a new pattern that just appears, a new pattern. And they're different. They're different every month. They're brand new. They're not replicas of things we've had before. So they are things like shawls and socks and cowls, but also we have a lot of garments. So we have cardigans and jumpers and summer tops and all sorts of things like that. So this season in Wardrobe Toolbox, we've had a shawl, quite a large shawl actually. It was our first pattern in October. And then we have September off because we have lessons every month and we have other things that happen all the time, but we have a month off from patterns. And then this month in December, so November was down, and then December we got a new pattern. And this is the pattern I'm wearing her now, Paloma. She has these fabulous shoulders. Now I like this concept, and I've made this idea for a top. It's a bit like, it's just a construction method. I've made this. This is the third time I've had a bash at this now. So the first one I did was Adira, and she's quite different because she has she's much longer, and she has a big like balloon, what are they called? Dolman sleeve that comes under. And then the second one I did was Serpentine with the panel that you knit down the shoulder and then you pick it up front and back. And Serpentine is a lovely warm jumper style. And I was really taken with this idea of taking this into a sweater. So I did the panel that went all the way down your arm to here and then picked up for a nice rib at your wrist. But it had a sleeve that you did a 3-needle bind off for underneath the arm. I don't think we might have grafted it, but I think we did a 3-needle bind off. I can't remember now off the top of my head. But anyway, it came in a little more and then had a little bit of a dolman sleeve. Not quite the same as the original Neve one. Not Neve. I love that name, Neve. But it wasn't Neve. What's she called? Nula. What did I say it was called, Morgan? Anyway. Yeah, that's right. I didn't mean Adira. Yeah, look, there's too many children now. You just start calling them the wrong name. You know what that's like. So anyway, it was, that one, Serpentine and Nula, Serpentine and Nula. And it was an Irish name. I knew that. Anyway, so those are the two I've tried before. And then I had something else that I wanted to try. Hi, Katrina. Nice to see you. After I made Urchin. This is this little top, which I'm going to talk about in a second too. Urchin has a really short little sleeve that you just sort of pop in. And I thought, oh, I really like that. I like wearing that. And you guys have really liked it. And I thought, but I also like the shoulder. And so I just set about to do, I merged those things, right? So let's see if we can see me a bit better. So you can see what I'm actually wearing. So I've done a kind of a merge. I've done this little top, which is quite boxy, and then we've popped a little sleeve into it, but I've left the stitches live at the bottom of the shoulder panel to pick it up to knit into the sleeve. So it's really fun. It makes it a really fun knit to do. You pick it up at the front. Once you've got your shoulder panel with your live stitches, you get to that and you get to that, right? And then you pick up the back and you knit down for the back of the yoke, and then you pick up the front and you knit down, and then you join it in the round, and you've got quite a nice little shoulder drop happening here. You can see the shoulder drop here. So the top of my arm side is not as many rows as it is up by my neck. So I've created a wedge through there with short rows. I've got that on the front and the back. And then so you get to under the arm and then you join it in the round, and it becomes this lovely little boxy look. You knit straight down. But it has nice shaping at the shoulders, and you get the benefit of having this lovely lace panel on the shoulders, which I think I just really like that. So I'm into that. So that's how she goes. And then at the bottom, she has a really quite a pronounced high-low hem. I've given you a good couple of inches, quite a few inches, where the front hem drops down. If you want to have a little look, there are photos on Ravelry. For those of you who aren't in Wardrobe Toolbox, but for those of you in Wardrobe Toolbox, you've got the pattern. Right, I'll stand up a little bit more. I feel like my desk is a little bit, my ironing board is a little bit high. I could lower it. Let's just see if I could lower it just one. This is dangerous. This is a dangerous maneuver. Oh, I did it though. That's a bit better. Okay. So this is Paloma. Paloma. She's yes, that's what I'm going to do, Morgan. So this is Paloma, and she's kind of groovy. She's a little bit, she's got a little bit of attitude. She's quite sort of feminine, sexy power. That's the feel I have about Paloma. And so that's what they've got. Now, there's been a few questions about how to choose a size, and we get this a lot about these patterns, all patterns, to be honest. But I wanted to talk about these patterns. I wanted to talk about patterns that have a drop shoulder today, and how to choose a size with a drop shoulder. And I'm just going to go through a few to show you. I've got some examples here just to talk to you through how I would do it for you. Okay. So the first thing before we start anything at all, absolutely anything, you've got to know who you're knitting for. So take your measurements. Measure yourself. You might get someone to help you. Over in Wardrobe Toolbox, we did do a class where we took our own measurements. And so if we don't have a helper, we've got some ideas about how to take measurements on ourselves. That can be really helpful if you're all on your own, or you're too uncomfortable without asking someone to help you. But if you have got someone that can help you, or if you can pluck up the courage to ask someone to help you that you might not normally ask, it is really helpful. But the measurements that you'll want to know for this one are a couple of measurements. You'll want to know your cross shoulder measurement. And I think what I would like you to know is what you measure from that little bone at the end of your shoulder. You might have to dig down to feel it, but it's a little bit tender just next to it. You want to know what the measurement from there across your back neck, because some of us have quite a pronounced hump roundedness to our back neck. So you want to know what that measurement is from there across to the other side. That's your cross back, right? The worksheet was helpful. Yeah, Shona, we've got worksheets and stuff in there as well, haven't we? So measure that, because that's going to be really helpful when we're choosing a size. The other thing that would be really good to measure is your upper bust. So you pop the tape measure up under your bust, breathe normally. Let your, I was going to say, when you're measuring this measurement up here, I think it would be helpful to put your arms out a little bit, just a bit, because I think you'll get the kind of the maximum amount when you just put them out slightly. And that is to your benefit, I think, when you're choosing a size. Then get your upper bust measurement. So you put the tape measure under your arm, and it just angles slightly. It does end up angling slightly, but go across your back, and then breathe normally, lower your shoulders, and just breathe normally and take, that's your upper bust measurement. And then your full bust measurement. That's where I would start. The rest of it, it's good to know. It's really good to know. You want to know your upper arm circumference. Remember, we don't measure that hanging in the air because we get all that extra skin bits. We measure that by our side, and we also want to know our hips. Those of you who know that you have a wider bottom half, a broader bottom half, measure your hips as well, so that you can make adjustments as you need to go on. So I think we talk about that a lot over at Wardrobe Toolbox, but you need to start by knowing, who am I knitting for? What is this? What is the shape of this person? And what are the measurements of this person? So that's where you start first. Secondly, what I give you in these patterns is I give you a cross shoulder measurement. So I'm telling you what the measurement from here, where the sleeve starts, all the way over to the other sleeve. I might have in this one actually added the sleeve. I can't remember what I did now. It's just escaped me. But basically, you are getting a measurement that goes from one side to the other. So depending on whether that's just where the sleeve starts or where the sleeve ends, your full wingspan, depending on what you get, you can then work out where your top is going to hit you on your arm. Because if you know what your measurement is at the side, then you can do it mathematically by taking that off that measurement that from the pattern, dividing the rest in half and knowing that it's going to go down this far on your arm. Then you can take the tape measure and say, oh yeah, it's going to finish there, or it's going to finish there. I can see that on myself. Or you could just take the tape measure as a whole and wrap it around you and see where it finishes. It's slightly trickier to do it like that. But you get a sense of where your sleeve is either going to begin or end, depending on what it says in the pattern. So things like, I was going to show you a couple of patterns just to explain how that makes a difference. You can also the shoulder measurement can be helpful, but something like a Dera. So a Dera is this little top I've got that doesn't have any sleeves. So that's it. That's where she ends. And on me in the photos, a Dera is quite a capped sleeve, this little size that I've made for myself. But you have seen me wearing a Dera a lot in this hot pink color, because I'm very lucky I have two. And look, she is a lot bigger because I have a size that's technically too big for me. But she's not. She looks fantastic because I really love an oversized top. So this one goes way down. The other one finished up here, little cap sleeve. This one went way down. Now, what I have to justify in my head, or come to terms with in my head, or wrestle with, or whatever it is I'm doing in my head, is what's going to happen at the bust when that happens. So we start by saying, all right, this is where I want my sleeves to start. This is where I want my sleeves to end, whatever that is. Okay, I can get a sense of that. Don't forget, it's going to come straight down underneath your arm. So you're going to have that much room on either side at the bust. I made for this particular top, this Paloma top that I've got, I've gone for a size a little bit bigger than I might normally size, because I've really enjoyed wearing this one, really enjoyed it. And I thought, oh, you know what? I think I'm just going to make myself a slightly oversized version. I think I will still go back. I really would like to go back and make myself a smaller version of this as well. But for this top, I have got a lot. If you look at it on me, there's my bust, right? I've got all this extra room on the side. So I just have to decide, do I like that? Now, in this pattern, I haven't actually put your full bust measurement. I appreciate I'm talking nonstop, but hopefully it's helpful. I haven't put a full bust measurement, but that doesn't matter because you know how to work that out. You can go to the part where we're joining the body and the round, and you can take the stitch count at that point, and then you divide that by your gauge per inch or your gauge per centimeter, and that will tell you the bust size. You can do that in any part of the pattern. You can work out any length or distance or drop or anything by counting rows and stitches. So once you've thought, okay, I quite like my sleeves going to about here, what's going to happen at my bust? Maybe it's going to be bigger on me than mine is, or maybe it's going to be tighter on me. Maybe I want a sleeve that's quite a lot shorter, or I want a sleeve to start a bit shorter, but I want to make the sleeve part longer. But what that means is it's going to end up being a much tighter fit on my bust. It's actually not really going to, I'm going to have it sort of here, and I'm not really going to have much room to fit my bust in. What am I going to do then? Well, what you might decide to do then, a bust starts. And so this is where we start adding layers and layers onto your knit. So you start at the top, figure out what do I want at the top with this pattern? Where do I want it to, my sleeve to start? I've got some others to show you how you can, where this is so useful. So Tui is another one. Tui is a sweatshirt top. She's a sloppy sweatshirt. And in the pattern, I give you the measurement from where the sleeve starts to where the sleeve starts. So that's a good place to start. Do I want my sleeve to start there? These are quite slim sleeves. And in the case of this Tui top, you may, if you have a very broad upper arm circumference, you might decide to adjust where the sleeve starts on you by choosing a wider or narrower shoulder width so that it hits you in a good place. And then you'll adjust your sleeves and bung in the right sleeves that you want. And you might put in bust darts at that point as well. So that is a good one to think about. A few layers of adjustments on. This is similar. This is, this is this one, which has gone completely out of my head. This is because I've got too many children now. But anyway, this lovely one that someone will tell me in a second what it is, although I can't see any of you commenting. So maybe you're all just frightened by all my talking. But anyway, this has got slim sleeves as well. And again, a really lovely sloppy jumper that falls off your shoulders. So you can make those. Georgie, thank you, everyone. You're all listening. Georgie, yes. So sloppy jumper that falls off your shoulders. You might decide to have quite a nice lot of sleeve on it. You might decide that actually it doesn't matter where it hits me on my arm because I like a baggier sleeve. Others of you might want a slimmer sleeve. So to me, these are the kind of things that I think about when I'm putting them together. Now, I don't have a proportionately larger bust to my shoulders. If anything, my shoulders are a little bit broader than my bust. So I don't have that extra layer to think about, which is the bust darts. And I know that for some people, those are hugely daunting, the idea of putting bust darts in. But actually, when we stop and we just do it step by step by step, it really isn't too tricky. And that is one of the things we talk about ad nauseum in Wardrobe Toolbox, are bust darts and ways of accommodating bust, because it's very, very common that people have a slender shoulders and then a more proportionately fuller bust. So that's something that and people just deal with all the time and when they're knitting. And once I hear it over and over and over and over, I just never hear the end of it, actually. People keep saying over and over. Once they've mastered the bust dart and they've realized what they need for them, that's it. They are home. There's no going back. They understand, it all falls into place. They're making garments that feel fantastic. They fit well. They have a great fit at the shoulders, and then they can accommodate everything from here down, whether it's A-line shaping in the body of a garment to skim over your hips beautifully, or whether it's putting your bust darts in, either horizontal bust darts or vertical bust darts, or making the front slightly wider, however we decide to deal with it, depending on the garment we're knitting. It is a game changer, absolute game changer for people. So I would encourage you to have a look into that. And we definitely do. We definitely talk about it over there. And if you guys, some of you are in Wardrobe Toolbox and you haven't ventured into those lessons yet, I would, and you want to, I would, because they're really good. Okay, so Urchin is the other one and I know a lot of you have loved Urchin. This was also a Wardrobe Toolbox pattern, wasn't it? That I then released to everybody later. So she's just a lovely little boxy top. We've talked a lot about whether people have put bust darts into her and whether it still worked out well. And it does appear that they're great. It works out really well with trendy Georgie, with all the patterning and everything. You can definitely put bust darts in and it all goes well, because as the sizes get larger, you get a bit more space to play with as well. And yeah, just fitting in extra bust darts seems to be good, and A-line shaping and stuff like that. Actually, I think we've done vertical bust darts in this one. I can't remember now. I think people have tried both. But Georgie is another one. Think about, where do you want those sleeves to start? And then you get to be the boss of how long they are. There's no shaping in these little sleeves. They're just knitted square, so that they're just nice little easy casual sleeves. So you can decide whether you want them, just this long, like I have on Urchin, just this long, or whether you want them just a little bit longer, like I have on Paloma, or you might want them longer altogether. And in fact, it was it was the other day that Pat and I put out last week, Sesha, that Brenda, I think, had made a beautiful Sesha, which I must show you. And that is a raglan, but she had that lace panel that went all the way from the top of her shoulder, and she just had extended her arm all the way down. So she'd done a lovely long sleeve. And this is one where people have done that too, not necessarily all the way down their sleeve, but they've taken some of the knowledge that we have in Wardrobe Toolbox. We've got worksheet on how to make your sleeves fit you, how to adjust the shaping. And so they've taken this sleeve on Urchin and made it much longer, like down to here. So they've turned it more into a sweatshirt, whether it's elbow or full, 3/4 length. And they look great, really, really great. So it's just about breaking things down into manageable chunks and addressing each chunk at a time, and remembering that you don't have to sit there on your own and try and work it out, that there are people, we can help you do it. So if you have questions, just ask. Now, this is another one that is similar. And Rebel is that little cardigan. It's been really popular. I know lots of you have made Rebel, and it's a fabulous cardigan for a lot of different bodies. This really looks good on people. And again, she's got a little sleeve that's slotted in. It's a drop shoulder, and with a nice shoulder drop. You can see the angle on that. So if you can see how much she's dropped, it's a good couple of inches drop on there. It's a lovely curve down your shoulder. And yeah, it's just a matter of deciding, where do I actually want those sleeves to start? And am I going to put bust starts in or not? Because that will adjust where you want your sleeve to start. There's a few things to wrestle with there. I was going to say I've got shoulder drop, short row shaping in all of these tops except this one. This one doesn't have short row shaping, and the patterning, you can see, it's just straight across on the shoulder. And I haven't included short row shaping. One, because I just thought we would get ourselves into a complete pickle when we're trying to do it for all the sizes and the patterning. So I just didn't even want to go there with you guys. I just thought, let's keep it simple. But the reason I could do it in Georgie, the reason I left out the shoulder shaping, is because this yarn has such fabulous drape. She's so soft, and it just collapses anyway. And so I didn't feel like I needed to really be too panicky about whether or not we had a good shoulder drop in her once we picked up for the shoulders. All right. Does that kind of make sense to you? I hope so. I hope it's just given you a start anyway, but I would just start at the top. We want to have, ideally, let's choose something that's going to give us a good fit at the shoulders. And that means figuring out where we want the sleeves to finish. Will it, and start, how long do I want them? This look through here is what we're after. You might want to look and see how wide the neck is. And do you want a wider neck or a narrower neck for the size you've chosen? Consider all of those things. We just did a lesson the other day in Wardrobe Toolbox about schematics and how to adjust a schematic for your shape. And I think this is a good chance to use your schematic too, so you can see the garment on you and make adjustments before you get started. Some of you will just cast on, I know, and that's absolutely fine, but don't forget to swatch. Just swatch before you start, because I think it will matter with this one, right? Because I swatched the shoulder panel. I wanted to know how wide it was, and I wanted to know how much it dropped that way. And I swatched the stockinette for the body. And I also want to know how much it dropped. So I tend to hang my swatches. And this is a linen silk baby alpaca. It's a little smidge of baby alpaca, little smidge of merino. And mostly it's linen and silk. So it's got fabulous, oozy drop stuff going on. So I do tend to hang my swatches when I'm doing them. All right, everybody, if you have any questions, let me know. Oh, good. Shona says, looking forward to doing bust darts. I prefer set and sleeves for my shape. And that's the other thing, deciding what suits you, what particular styles you like there. Some people are not keen on a drop shoulder. You could make an adjustment, because you could use, if you take that idea of the shoulder and you decided you wanted to do a set and sleeve, you could stop it where you wanted to stop it. You could still leave it live to pick up for your set and sleeve. We did that. Did we do that on Maudie? We did, didn't no, we did the whole set and sleeve, didn't we? We didn't have it on the shoulder. But you could do it for the shoulder, or you could just leave a plain shoulder and pick it up for the sleeve, chuck it in and drop set and sleeve. But you could also stop here, and then you could actually create your shape for your set and sleeve. You know that you're going to come down, and then you're going to have it go out again for your underarm. And if we did that lesson, didn't we, about how to put in a top-down short row sleeve, so you could then go back and put in your top-down short row sleeve. As long as you know how deep to make your arm side, give yourself a little bit of room under your arm, and you know how wide you want to make it for your bust, depending on whether or not you decide to put bust darts in. You could actually adjust this to create a set and sleeve if you're feeling brave. I think you could do that. I know you could do that. You definitely can do that. Oh, excellent. Terry's knitting a swatch for Paloma now. Yeah. My issue is always waist to hip. I'm narrow compared to most. So your hips are narrow, like me. Is that what you mean? So that you have waists and hips are much the same, or you have very narrow waist and then broader hips, or you have what is going on? Do your hips go in underneath? Tell me what that is. But I mean, that's one of the lovelier things to adjust, because you can do a lot under the arms once you get there. And you said yes, and I said so many suggestions. Tell me which one it was, and then I'll know. Wendy said, I could see Paloma as a 3/4 sleeve with a gradual slimming of the width, such a pretty lace design, which could even be even more enhanced. Yes, Wendy, that would be gorgeous. So if you go back and you grab the worksheet that we did a little class on shaping sleeves, and then figuring out how, the length of sleeve that you want and how to do the decreases that you want. And you could definitely smooth have her come down. It would be lovely. And in fact, that would be nice for the smaller version that I do, is just to do a slightly longer sleeve. I love these sleeves that go right down to here. I think that would just be lovely. I avoided drop shoulder garments until I learned about shoulder measurements. Yeah. Okay. Hips go in and patterns always too large. Right. Yes. Okay. So I'm straight, basically. I don't really have hips. And so that's something I find can be a pain, is that I end up with way too much fabric around my hips, and I have to decide at that point, where do I want them to cut me off? Because sometimes I just have it that I don't have quite as much ease, and so I don't end up with as much ease around my bust, and so that I don't have so much ease around my hips. But what I have decided more recently is that actually I don't mind having a bit of extra fabric around my hips, but it does seem to matter where I get cut off. And so this top that I'm wearing now has got quite a high-low hem. And so I like it that it's high at the front, because one of the things I find is if I can draw attention to in, then that can help, right? So, and one of the things I have is short legs. And so if I can give myself a bit of extra length by giving a longer line up the front, because my hem is shorter, but then my back hem is dropped, it is interesting. It just creates a bit of interest, and it doesn't just cut me off at this part of me that is, not really proportional to the rest of me, or is shorter and it kind of cuts me in half, and all of those things. So think not just about width, but also about height is one of the things that I would consider. But definitely, you could either do, I'm just thinking whether I would go in much. I would experiment with it, whether you took tops in a little bit. I wouldn't be tempted to go in a lot. I would be more inclined to have a little bit more fabric and the hem thing than I would about going in. But it might work fine on you. I'm not sure. But I wouldn't kind of make. Having said that, I have got a top. I think it was my serpentine top, where I think it was serpentine. I don't think I did it with Nula as well, where I definitely went in. One of the features of that top is it has that lovely big sleeve on it, and then the body of it actually goes in. So I continue that shaping like that, which looks really good. I like that, but it's certainly, some people won't want it to go in down on their body as well. So I guess you could play around with that. But yes, the other thing that you could do, is you could add a little bit of waist shaping. And because I find that helps me because it lifts the eye and it creates just that subtle shaping in at the place you want it to look like you go in. So by raising the eye and just having a little bit of waist shaping, just maybe just three sets of decreases or 2 sets of decreases, just so you go in a bit and then you don't have to go out so far. That's how you could do it. I have to think out loud often, but that is how you could do that. So you could bring it in for your waist a bit, even if you've not if it's like too tight, but then bring it out just slightly, not as much as it went in, not as much as it was before you brought it in. I found that shaping facetious suited me perfectly. Oh yeah, perfect. Okay, so that's A-line shaping, and you'll see that I don't go out tons, and that is one of the features of my patterns. If I do an A-line shaping, some of you will want to add more width, because if I have to wear it for the patterns, I tend to wear it in a way that's going to suit me a little bit better, and I don't have them A-line, so they go out like they might, like you might want them to. It's a little bit. The other one I did like that is Pearl, and Pearl is a lovely, very flattering jumper, actually, Pearl. And she has lovely A-line shaping. She's a DK, so she's warm, but she just gently scoots out. And I think I went to about 5 inches of ease at the hips, but you could go 6, 7, 8. You could have a lot more. But I just went to a little bit extra at the hip, on my hips. It was on my hips. Oh, good. You're enjoying Wardrobe Toolbox much better than Netflix for sure. Brilliant. That's really, really good. My dilemma in length or width. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, that's it. I think a lot of us are kind of have similar problems. Similar. They're not problems, are they? But they're just, they're just things we like to play around with. Maybe a little vertical bust up below the waist. That's actually a really nice idea too. That's actually a really nice idea, that you could actually just do a little bit of a bust start and pull your bust in slightly and then go straight down. So I think that comes back to that waist shaping idea, where you just pull yourself in slightly at the waist. And when you're thinking about the waist, go just a little bit higher than your waist and then go straight, just a little bit higher. And I think that lifts up the eye and brings you in slightly up higher. And I think that's creates nice balance. All right, I better fly. I've got to get into my work clothes and go and do some cleaning. And I will catch you all next Thursday. We've got our last podcast of the year next Thursday. I think it will be the last podcast. I thought maybe I could have one the following Thursday, but I have my parents-in-law are coming up for Christmas, and my parents are here for Christmas. So it's all the parents for Christmas. And I need to make sure my floors are absolutely clear so that people that have walking things can get around without falling over things. And so I just need to make the house significantly more tidy than it is now. That's what I need to do. So I will spend next week doing that, a lot of next week doing that. So I won't not next week, the week after, before Christmas. So I'll see you next Thursday, and then we'll have a couple of weeks where we don't have a podcast, and then I'll be back in January to have a little chat with you and see what you're up to in the new year and see what fabulous things are happening on your needles. I have got something I'm so excited about right now that's going on my needles for Wardrobe Toolbox. So I need to get some other things on for everyone else, but I'll get that done first. Okay, everybody. I'll catch you later. Have a lovely week. Bye. See you later.